Good afternoon, y'all. Good afternoon. I managed to hurry up and get my cherry Pepsi open before the 30 seconds was up. So I didn't want y'all to hear that as soon as the intro was done playing. So what's up, y'all? Today is Monday, December 30th. Um And it seems like just yesterday, I say that about a lot of things, but that I started or decided to do this daily live stream upload type of deal for December. Just providing a little bit of mental wellness, uplifting and encouraging those of you who come across it, even if it's one person. And I think my job has already been done because someone told me last week that one of my episodes really resonated with them. And it was the one that said, "No is a complete sentence." I think that might be one of my favorite ones too. That actually was one of the first episodes I did. So glad to know if you're out there listening that one resonated with you. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of what the episodes were so that, if you're coming across this one today, you don't have to go back through all to see what they were. The first episode, let me just back up and say that all of these are in a playlist on my YouTube channel. So please share the playlist or share the individual episodes with people that you think will help. I'll probably be sharing them out throughout the year. Just to give people a place to start. Sometimes people need to hear things from somebody that's a complete stranger. And if you think it's going to resonate with them, please be sure to share it. Please be sure to comment. Let me know that you were by and you listened to it. So the first episode was just me kind of chit-chatting a little bit about what the podcast series was going to be about, and testing StreamYard, because this is my first time using StreamYard for anything. And so I'm proud of myself in that regard. One of my challenges to myself is to be sure that I learn new things. Each day is an opportunity to learn something new. So I'm taking advantage of that. The second episode was "No is a complete sentence." And I think that one is self explanatory. The next episode was "Master Your To Do List," where I just kind of gave a few steps of things to do that I do every Wednesday, looking at my to do list and my schedule of meetings for the week. The next one was "Get It Out of Your Head Before It Disappears." And that one was um, talking about writing things down in a journal or using voice notes to capture those thoughts that you want to expand upon later. Because sometimes when a thought pops into your head, you say, "Oh, I'll write it down later," or "I think more about it later," and then you forget what it was that you wanted to talk about. The next episode was called "Hold On to Grudges for What?" And that was mainly talking about how grudges can, cause stress, and what's the point of holding on to grudges. So we talked a little bit about that. And I think that episode was pretty good. I'm kind of proud of that one. The next episode was "Choices." That was episode 6. And we talked about making decisions. The seventh episode of this December Things series was called "Comparison is the Thief of Joy and a Master Manipulator." And I like that one too. I might be biased because all of these episodes are mine, but I definitely think if you are going to listen to one other, that one and "No is a complete sentence" are great places to start. Number 8 was called "Titles Are Overrated." That's just talking about people with titles of boss, CEO, manager, and how those folks definitely need to get a grip on how they treat people that they are supervising. The next episode was called "Sometimes Laughter is the Best Medicine." That was episode 9. Today is number 15. Episode 10 was called "Persistence." I can't remember. Episode 11 is deleted for some reason. I'm going to have to dig that up and try and get it back on the channel. Episode 12 is called A Dose of Your Own Medicine. So, how would you feel if people treated you the way you treat them? Pretty much. So, just kind of a reflective episode. Episode 13 was called Joy for the Holiday Season. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas holiday. Episode 14 was called Lessons from 2024, where we talked about things that we learned this year. And one viewer did talk about, learning to not let people use her. So I think that was a great lesson for her for the year. There's the ice cream truck. If you heard that in the background. And then that brings us to today's lesson, which is called well, not lesson, but today's topic, which is called Character Counts, elementary concept and life lesson. Hey, Deborah Ray. Deborah Ray said, I loved no is a complete sentence. I think that's one of my favorites. So that one and holding on to judges and holding on to grudges and the comparison is the thief of joy. I think those are my top three. I'm going to go back and listen, and I may do some subsequent lives about those. But today is character counts, elementary concept, and life lesson. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about character because that's a fundamental thing. I don't know if we refer to it as a skill because I feel like if it's a, it could be a skill, but it's also a trait. What I do know is that it people begin to work on their character from the very early years of life. There is an elementary school program called Character Counts. If you're interested in it, you can Google it. It's charactercounts.org. But they try to teach students about developing their character and working on social and emotional skills. But I feel like in that stage of life, we are telling our children what's right and what's wrong. Here is how you should behave. Here is how to be kind. Here is how to share. Here is how to, make sure you look out for your friend. However, when you're an adult, character is one of those things that continuously evolve. And character is closely tied to our reputations. Some people kind of confuse the two, but they are definitely two separate things. So our character is how we are known to ourselves and to other people. It's what you do when no one is looking, when the door is closed and it's just you and yourself, and you have decisions to make and you have thoughts running through your head. What are you thinking about? What are you planning? What is your course of action? How are you going to act? Is it genuine? Is what you plan to do manipulative? Is it self-serving? What is it? What is your thought process behind the things that you do? And I say every so often, I am a researcher by training. I do believe in science and I believe in survival of the fittest. So I do know that it's in our nature to try and do things that benefit us as human beings. But that doesn't necessarily mean we have to do things that sabotage other folks in the process. So with our character, we have to realize that our character is tied to our morals and values. It's tied into those things that we believe are right. It's tied into our knowledge of doing things that are ethical, and it's tied into doing those things that we feel are going to give us the best outcome. So, character is a combination, I think, of thinking um, and kind of synthesizing information, whether in real time or in time that we take to reflect on things, and then acting on those things. So our behavior as well. So I feel like our thinking, that's us in intimate proximity with our own character. The way we think through things is like, should I really do that? What is my reasoning behind doing it? Is it the right thing to do? And sometimes we deliberately choose to do the wrong thing. I'm saying we because I'm not excluding myself from any of this. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we all make bad decisions on purpose just because it benefits us. However, I feel like the goal should be evolving our character each day. Good afternoon, Dee Dee. How you doing? We're just talking about character a little bit is the topic for this particular podcast episode. Tomorrow wraps up December things. So if you haven't given a listen to the other episodes on the podcast, please at your leisure, whenever you're cleaning the kitchen and making your videos, go back and have a listen. Hey T Davis, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. We're talking about character today. Deborah Ray earlier said she loved the episode on no is a complete sentence, and I think T also said she listened to that one. So that's one of my favorite, along with holding grudges, and comparison is the thief of joy and a master manipulator. Those are my favorite three. So today we're talking about character and how it determines your reputation, and the fact that it is tied to what you believe in fundamentally. So it's tied into your morals and values, and also how you see things in terms of being ethical or not. And I think for me, my thoughts are what tie my character intimately to me, right? Because people can't see your thoughts. People don't know your thoughts unless you tell them. And so the only person that's dealing with your thinking at any given time is you, unless you let those thoughts out of your head through words, so in conversation, or through your actions. And that's, your behavior. Your behavior is an action you take. And so that's when your character becomes evident to other people. The minute you let your thoughts out of your head in the form of what you say, so how you convey something about somebody or a decision you're going to make, or the minute you act on it. So for me, I don't consider myself a terrible person. You know, I feel like I am growing and evolving every day, and I feel like my character speaks for itself. And once you hear different people from different walks of life telling you the same things they see or think about you or see in you, then you start to say, okay, whether it's, well, I was about to say whether it's good or bad, but we all know if somebody is telling us something good about ourselves and speaks to our character in who we are as a person, we tend to take that and run. We beam with pride, our shoulders are square, we have our chin up, we are walking tall, and we're glad about it. But the minute somebody comes to us and says something negative about us and kind of puts a stain, we feel like it puts a stain on our character, that's how we perceive it, then we get upset about it. So T Davis says, me too, Deborah Ray. Yes, it's definitely helping me with my teenage sons. Oh yes. Oh yes. um Then she says, well, everyone, honestly, no explanations, just no. Exactly. Exactly. And we can expand upon that, T, at sometimes, because I feel like once you've given that hard no, in months to come or years to come, if you just once people respect that, if you decide to soften that a little and give a little more information, you can. But sometimes and that depends on people's approach with you and their response to your no. So keep that in mind. But if it's helping, I'm so glad. So glad. It's tough to do, but it gets the point across. So, but yeah, I think it for the new year coming in, because we love the start of something new, to pick up something new. Just a small habit. For me, I'm just working on being the best version of myself that I can be each and every day. Like I say, I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm flawed just like every other human on this planet. But for my children and for my own mental well-being and how I want to live, I want to actively be doing things to put my mind in a space of growing and evolving every single day as a person. And my character is one of those things that I am continuously trying to polish, not being a people pleaser, not saying yes to everything. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about with me, working on my thoughts and how those are portrayed once I speak and once, I have an action behind it. Because if I'm looking for a certain outcome, my character needs to precede that so that I can have the correct thoughts and I can act in the correct way. So when people hear my name, they automatically associate me with a certain reputation, which is the same for all of us. You've heard that name, that person, whoever it is. The minute somebody says their name, you're like, oh, they gonna be there. Well, if they gonna be there, I ain't coming, because you already know what the vibe is gonna be. That's because you don't want to deal with that person's character. Some people's character can shift the energy in the room the minute they arrive, because the way they think is so negative and toxic. It's going to come out in their actions or behavior, meaning the attitude they have when they walk in the room. They don't even have to say nothing. They walk in the room and you like, oh boy, here comes the darkness or here comes the dread. That's character. Other folks, you can be at a gathering and you're like, where is so and so, with the bubbly personality, and not saying that they got it all together, but their character is on point. So if you have things that you value in line, you have your morals in line, just fundamental things that are common sense, then that will help shape your thoughts. And once you have your thoughts in a semi decent place, then you're good to go with your behavior. I hope that makes sense. A lot of times, I feel like people talk about mindset. Shift your mindset, change your mindset, all these taglines, change your mindset, change your life, all this stuff. Yeah, that's true. But how do you do that? How does that occur? What do we need to consider? It's not a 1, 2, 3 type of process. And I get so irritated with uh mental health professionals and people who are just, I'm gonna motivate folks and here's what I'm gonna say, without actually providing real life examples or saying, yeah, change your mindset, change your behavior, change your life. But what does that mean? Like, how can I get there? How can I get from this place of just being in a funk where I feel like, nothing is working in my life, to being on the opposite side where I'm getting an outcome that I desire? Well, you have to start, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, there's a program for elementary school called Characters Counts for elementary school students. This is where they tell the kids, this is how you should act. This is what you, and so kids, they start off with that. However, as we progress through life and we have lived experiences and we have things that actually change us inside, good lived experiences and also traumatic lived experiences, we have to our character has to evolve because what the things we value change, how we see society changes because of things that happen to us that are beyond our control, everyday situations in the store, at school, on the job, wherever. So if you're at a spot where it's just not so great and you want to get over here across the field, you have to evolve through some of the things you go through. So that doesn't mean that this stuff isn't going to happen. That means you take a different perspective as you're moving your way through it. Whatever thoughts you're having about it, you think about it one way and then you say, or it can also be this. At least that's how I had to start moving years and years and years ago. I had to say, wait a minute. And people tell me to this day, you always have a unique perspective on things. That's because I don't think I'm always right. I always try to see things from a different perspective. Now, does that mean I always agree? Absolutely not. Does that mean I always want to see things from a different perspective? Nope. Because when I'm passionate about something and I know I'm right about it. Y'all know how we can get sometimes. No, I know I'm right. You can't tell me nothing because I know I'm right. Here are the facts. Oh, I've been there before. I can run the facts down real well. But I also have to remember that whoever is on the other side of the coin in the situation that we're in that's causing all the trouble, they have a perspective too. And no matter what my decision is or what my thought, catch me now, stick with me, what my thinking is that determines my behavior, once I always am okay with it because I have considered their perspective and where they're coming from. Like I said, it doesn't mean I agree. In some cases, their perspective has provided information that I didn't have before, and I have shifted how I thought about things. And that's okay. So, since I shifted what I thought, then my behavior was different, and then the outcome was different. So, you have to get to a place where the way you think about things isn't the only thing. Even if you can't stand the person, think of the person that you just despise the most, and y'all are in some sort of a disagreement. In order for your character to be solid, you have to think about their perspective. Even if it's wrong, think about it. Because their thinking is they're doing or saying or behaving in a way that's best for them. No matter what it is that they have, no matter what it is that they are valuing in the situation, no matter what kind of morals they have, they think they're doing what's best for them. Even if you consider their perspective for a moment and it's like, nope, it's still wrong. That's fine. But I think the key to evolving our character and making sure that we are solid and able to move through things quickly without them causing us so much stress is to consider different perspectives. We have to get in a mindset. If that's going to be your goal for 2025, make it your goal for 2025. Hey, I'm going to consider other folks' perspective. They don't have to know you're considering their perspective. These are things that you need to take into account with yourself. Hey Hazel, how you doing? I missed your comment, T. I had to learn to compromise. No more my rules, my way. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. That, and that's growth. That's what I mean when I say continuously evolving as a person, right? Moving through things in a way that's intelligent and mature for our age. I sit back and I observe a lot of things in life, even here on YouTube. And as much as I want to weigh in, I stay out of it because number one, it's not my business, right? And number two, nobody asked me what I thought. And I understand that, it's social media. And if you put it out there, oh well and okay, it's fair game. But even then, that doesn't mean that you have to act on it or say anything. So character also comes with some degree of self-control and knowing what to say and when to say it. So I came across a tweet one time on Twitter, and I have it written down somewhere because I collect these really good things that I think will help me along life's journey. If I see it, I'm like, ooh, that's good. And it said, before tweeting something, and so I use this to, I've adapted it to my social media um experience here on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, wherever. The first question is, does this need to be said? Then it said, does this need to be said by me? And if the answer is yes, does this need to be said by me at this time? And I think about that often when I see stuff going on. And I make a decision. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna scroll right on by. Now, years ago, y'all, you couldn't pay me to scroll by. This is when Facebook was popping. I was in those comments going back and forth. For what? For what? I did not know the people in most cases. Sometimes I did. Um, but at the end of the day, I had to pull back and do the bird's eye view thing. In the grand scheme of things, the stuff we were talking about and arguing about didn't make a bit of sense. And we didn't have any skin in the game. So I had to say, no, this is a part of my character I'm going to work on. I'm not going back and forth with people over the internet. So all of these things are things to consider as we kind of get our character in line with who we want to be. Our internal character, right? So how we think about things and how we move through our thoughts in whether you know it or not, you have the choice to follow a specific thought somewhere. So you can always say nope and move in a different direction, right? That's what you call mental fortitude and mental toughness. And if you're not there yet, you got to get there. You can put some things in motion for 2022 and just step back and work on that because you can neutralize thoughts. um you just gotta work really hard at doing it in following the good thoughts in the direction that they should go, so then they can lead you to the behavior that you want so that you can have the outcome that you desire. So I hope today has been helpful. um I said I was going to keep it under 15 minutes, but once you start talking about those things that actually build who we are, our inner man, that's where I get crunk because there's so much toxicity out here, especially in this age of social media and so many people spewing, this is how you should do this. This is how you should do that. This is, we all are individuals. So we all have to move through our own circumstances. And what what is helpful is to be equipped with some things to think about, right? Not people telling you, do this, do that. No, think about how you think, right? And work on that a little bit. Spend some time with yourself. Think about what you're thinking about, if that makes sense. And then once you've done that, then you can make a decision on how to behave and what action you're going to take. And then you get the outcome that you desire. And if not, then you backtrack. That's where the reflection comes in. So it all ties together. I really hope it's making it's making sense. Um, but that's all I have for today. I definitely thank y'all for joining. A lot of times these topics are intertwined because it's all about promoting mental wellness. And so it's hard to talk about character without talking about mindset. It's hard to talk about being persistent in having fortitude without talking about reflection. And so they're all interwoven qualities. So if some of it sounds repetitive, it's because it should, you know. I wish you all the best, the very, very, very best. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Y'all, I just got a just got a text from my husband. Do I know how to make Jello shots? He must have some New Year's Eve plans that I'm not aware of. But I hope you all have an amazing afternoon. If this episode resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. Feel free to share it. You can share any of these videos. You can copy the link, share it out on your social media, share it out on your YouTube. You're welcome, T. My goal is not, I'm not trying to be famous. I'm just trying to do my part to make a difference, right? You people tend to be drawn to negativity and toxicity and people telling them what they want to hear. I don't have all the answers, but I will say I know what I'm capable of. I'm confident in my abilities. I can stand 10 toes down in any debate about anything. And I have done that, over time. I'll share some story times maybe next year or so, but I've taken on a corporate place. I've had to bounce out of a job because folks were trying to screw up my work-life balance and, the whole nine. So I'm not afraid to go head up against anybody in any situation about anything because I've done inner work through corporate trauma. So it is what it is, right? Y'all have a wonderful afternoon. I'll check in tomorrow to see what's going on New Year's Eve. And if I don't get to say hi before then, excuse me, happy 2025. And I will see you in the new year. Toodles.